Hello everybody, welcome to the first episode of this documentary series. My name is Shayna and my group Minjung, Irene, and Chloe are a group of 10th graders in JIS looking for a way to promote sustainability and help businesses impacted by the pandemic. This video series will include 4 episodes where we will interview our special guests on their thoughts on sustainability, cooking, and farming techniques. So, without further delay, we hope you enjoyed the first episode featuring our talented celebrity chef, Max Mendiaz.
For those who don't know, could you tell us more about Burgreens and the concept of the restaurant?
Right. So, yeah, I'd like to think of Burgreens as the pioneer of plant-based movement in Indonesia. Yeah. So we're a restaurant, but also a catering service. Currently, we have like 15 locations. Jakarta, Bandung, but hopefully soon in Bali. Right. So what we do is we make food, plant-based food that tastes delicious, but looks really just like normal, so our tagline usually we call it like it tastes naughty, it looks naughty, yet healthy from plants. Yeah. So does that answer?
Yeah, that's
the question?
Good.
Cool.
Was there anyone who inspired you to start a plant-based restaurant?
Yeah, I think I think it's a combination of things. Yeah. So I used to live in the Netherlands. So in the last year, I volunteered in one of the raw vegan restaurants in Amsterdam called the Alchemist Garden. I saw with my own eyes like how people can get better just by adopting a plant-based diet, and they presented their food so well. Yeah. And I was like, we didn't have this in Indonesia, But then I think a strong reason was my partner was a vegetarian. Helga was a vegetarian. So that was the first time I was exposed to this. But I didn't get into it, fully into it, until there is some problems with my health, physically but also emotionally, where it actually led me to try a plant-based diet, and I guess those combination of things, I like to cook, right? So at that point, it was like a turning point for me. Like I started cooking more exclusively plant-based foods. And I really like it. I really enjoy it. From that recipe, I felt like, I would like to do like that concept in the Alchemist Garden in Amsterdam, that in my hometown, which is Jakarta.
Yeah. So just now you also mentioned Green Rebel. What is that?
So Green Rebel is our food technology arm, and it's specifically created to make plant-based meat, plant-based beef and chicken. Yeah. So plant-based beef and chicken. Yeah, maybe I'll stop there. Yeah.
Okay. It seems like you're interested in food and the culinary arts. So when do you think you first showed an interest in cooking?
Okay, so my interest in cooking, I think it started. I didn't realize this, but I think it was my grandfather. So I'll split this into 2 chapters, if that's okay. Yeah. So I guess the first one, the very, very first one was my grandfather. So my grandfather used to be a really big shot chef in Jakarta. Yeah. So he emigrated from China and started this restaurant, Brilliant Palace, together with Lim Sulyong. I don't know if you still know, but back then he was the number one richest man in Indonesia. Yeah. So this restaurant is located next to the presidential palace. He was friends with the chief of staff back then, Yop Ave. And he just cooks for the president back then. So I guess that was the first influence in my family that led me to cooking. But I guess one of the events that really triggered me to finally know that I can cook as well was my experience when I was living in Europe. So in Belgium, I live in the same floor with 50 other people. Yeah, so every night we take turns to cook, you know, and you know, all of us are students. We don't have a lot of money, so we collect money. We give €5 or €10 every week, you know, and you know, it was my turn to cook, and I was not a vegan back then at the time, and I really remembered the first thing I cooked was Asian chicken soup, fried tempeh. I wonder, I could find tempeh there, you know, in Belgium. Fried tempeh with sweet soy sauce and a white rice in a rice cooker. I mean, it was mind-blowing for them, you know, like it was so popular that some people actually came to my room, knocked on my door, gave me €5 or €10 and asked me to cook for them, you know. So I guess that's when I realized that I can actually cook, you know, that my food actually is liked by people. And yeah, seriously, I think it's one of the most powerful experience I had. Yeah.
So apart from that, were there any other memorable dishes that you had or maybe you made in Belgium?
Not really. I remember those, you know, Asian chicken soup, fried tempeh with sweet soy, and you know, the talk of the town is always the rice cooker that I brought with me, you know. I was the only Asian, you know. Everyone else was European, you know. So they never saw that, so that was quite special.
So on the topic of having rice, is
Yeah.
that one of your pantry essentials, and what do you think?
Oh, what? Sorry?
Is rice one of your pantry essentials, and what do you think are other pantry essentials that you need?
Right. No, absolutely. I love rice, but I eat mostly brown rice, you know. Sometimes, occasionally, I eat red rice as well. White rice, very seldom. I still eat them though, yeah. And I think two other staples will be, I guess, spices and ingredients. I will just separate those, yeah. Spices is salt, garlic, and white pepper. Yeah, for ingredients, I like tempeh and tofu.
So we'll make sure to put that on our grocery list next time.
Okay, that's good.
So what is your cooking philosophy, and why did you decide to come up with that philosophy?
Okay, so my cooking philosophy is anything that we think is delicious, I can make the same thing from plants. Yeah. So anything meaty, I can make it from plants. Yeah.
So why is that? Why is cooking sustainably different? Why is it making it from plants so important?
Yeah. So I guess I will start with this. Like there's a really prestigious report that just came out in 2019. It's called the Eat Lancet. Yeah. So Eat Lancet is like a group of 37 scientists, world-leading scientists, sitting together and working in this project to find just one general consensus about what's healthy eating and what's sustainable eating. And their summary is like a plate. Yeah, a plate. Yeah, a plant-centered plate, plant-forward. Yeah. So, you know, and I guess that report really is very, very important for me to yeah, it's like you're unsure about your diet before, whether it's like very sustainable or not, but after this report you feel like yes, it is very sustainable. Like a plant-centric diet, a plant-forward diet is very, very sustainable. So coming back to your question, so what's sustainable eating, right? Yeah, so for me, sustainable eating means it's, you know, a way of eating like our grandfather or grandmother, you know, our ancestors, which is mostly plants, you know, and animal. Maybe if you still eat animal protein, it will still be there, but it's sitting on the bench right now. Yeah, but we are not eating, like tubers or like picking leaves like our ancestors. It's modernized. Yeah. So for me, that's what sustainable eating means.
Thank you.
So when we heard about your views on sustainable eating,
Mhm.
we heard that everything started in the Netherlands. So could you explain a bit more about your experience there?
Yeah, sure. So I lived in the Netherlands for 7 years. So I was a Bachelor of Economics. Yeah, I graduated as a finance student. So I got a job in the finance industry as a data analyst. Yeah. So as a data analyst, I mean, I had a really good time in Holland. Really, really good time. It opened up my mind to, to a lot of things in life, right? I was like in my comfort zone before, so Holland was like completely changed that. And maybe just talking a bit about the career I chose. So data analyst was a job that I thought I wanted so much back then. I learned about Excel, formulas and all that. But when I did it, I actually in the beginning, yeah, of course there is some good stories and the end to it, right? The good part is that I made myself useful, meaning that as a data analyst you need to analyze patterns, you have to give insights to the management to help them make like an easier business decision, right? So that part I really like, yeah. So for the first 1.5, 2 years, something like this. But I realized after doing it for 2 years, more than 2 years actually, felt like I was so unfit to be in that industry, yeah. And I didn't have the passion, and I guess it's one of the reason why, I got so emotionally and physically affected by the stress. It doesn't only come from the work, but also I don't feel like I belong there. I didn't feel like I was contributing at all. So yeah, so that's the experience I had with Holland. Like I'm really glad that it happened, but like I'm glad I was glad to have that data analyst as a job, as my first job. Yeah, but it also made me realize that I was meant to do something else. Yeah, so that's Holland for me.
So what was it like to change to that different path?
To culinary, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. It felt refreshing. It felt really refreshing. Yeah, so it felt like you were on the right path, even though financially not so much. In Holland, it was like a really stable payroll. It was a really comfortable life, and then switching that to be an entrepreneur, especially in the restaurant, it's really not easy. Yeah. So, but like I don't know. It was maybe people call it a leap of faith, and people just call it like when you're meant to do something that you are meant to do, you feel like even though it's not perfect, you feel like you actually belong there. You contribute to other things in life rather than just the monetary value of it. Yeah.
So after the Netherlands, you decided to come back to Indonesia, and you wanted to spread the sustainably eating thing around Jakarta. And how did you find out about Yum's farm, and why did you choose to partner with them?
Right. So Yum was the first partner we have at Burger Greens. We were introduced by a friend who is in this green industry as well, and I remember we we went to the farm. We talked to the head of farmers. We talked to Vanessa, which is the head of Yum, right? And we felt like, if we want to make Burr Greens not just a restaurant but also a social force, right, for good. Like, this is the partner we want to work with, Their veggies is really good, like so fresh, and professionally managed is I guess one of the things that I would like to focus on. Yum is professionally managed. There are so many organic farms, right? Organic farms, but not all of them are professionally managed. So for us restaurant, of course, like the consistent supply, and when you complain, it's actually being treated like business. It's important, So yeah, so that's Yum for us, and I think they have been a really strong partner in our journey.
So we know that you cook healthy and sustainable meals.
Sure.
But to you, what does sustainable eating mean? And why do you think eating sustainably is so important?
Okay, I think I answered the first question.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat the second question, Chloe?
All right. Our question was, when did you start eating and cooking sustainably?
When? So, I guess maybe why it's more important first. Yeah, why do I start eating sustainably? So I guess I'm an evidence-based person, right? And what I see is that if you want to, the most earth-friendliest way of eating is a plant-centric diet. We talk about that, right? So after that, it actually led me to research some other topics about sustainability, right? Like composting your organic trash, sorting your organic trash, things like this. And I found out, like, when it's like a parachute, yeah? When it's open, you cannot really undo it, and it really stuck with me, I feel like I'm the happiest when I can contribute, when I can contribute, I feel happiest. So I feel like I was contributing to, I was not part of the problem anymore. I was, eating a plant-based diet, composting my organic trash, and I would like others to feel the same way as I do, Yeah. So that's the why, yeah. About when, I think the seed was planted in December 2012, yeah. So it was planted, but it was, it actually bloomed in 2015. Yeah. So in December 2012, it was at the time where I was not so well physically and emotionally, and then that's why I discovered about a plant-based diet. But it was the documentary of, it's a Netflix documentary called Cowspiracy. I don't know if you have ever watched Cowspiracy. You should watch. That's the first time I saw the impact of human food, what we do to Earth to source our food. Yeah, and its impact to Earth and the other living beings. Yeah, and I guess that was so powerful. I felt so I started being a plant-based diet 2012. I was on and off like vegetarian vegan until 2015, and then I was vegan after that.
Do you think it's hard for others to commit to eating sustainably?
That question really depends. Yeah, depends on the generation. Yeah, and also the gender. So I found out like when it requires someone to change their behavior or like to change their usual rhythm You know, the bigger they need to change their usual rhythm, the harder it is for them. Okay? So as you can imagine, the younger generation, we don't have the usual rhythm, right? We're still open to a lot of things. I still consider myself young, by the way. Right? So young millennials, Gen Z, you know, the younger generation, we're more receptive. Okay? Older generation, like maybe the generation of our mothers and fathers, harder, yeah, because they have their usual rhythm, you know. Women is in general more likely to change, yeah. Middle-aged men is the harder ones, you know. Yeah, so it really depends. It really depends. But I guess the formula is the harder, the bigger the usual rhythm that you need to change, the harder it is. So that's why, like at Burger Greens and Green Rebel, you know, at least what we would like to do is to make the decision making as simple as possible, so that they don't need to change their usual rhythm. You know, it's the food that they usually eat, or like it's the meat or the chicken, you know, that they usually put in their food, but just from plants.
It seems like Burger Greens is a pioneer for healthy eating and sustainability. Do you maybe have any advice for future generations or restaurants who want to start eating or cooking food more sustainably?
Yeah, I think before I say anything about recommendation, I think it's really important for us to know why. You know, I think so. If you're really interested, I think you have to be curious first. Yeah, be curious. So you have to understand, why do all these people want to live sustainably? They want to become vegan, for instance. You know, you have to understand their reason. And I think one of the best recommendations that I can give you is to watch some Netflix documentaries. Yeah. So I have 3 movies that I think will be good to watch. One is Cowspiracy. Yeah. Second is Raising Extinction. I don't know if they're in Netflix or in YouTube. You can check. Third is Seaspiracy. So Cowspiracy, Raising Extinction, and Seaspiracy, so that you get a full picture on what we do for our, you know, to source our food, and what the impact is to the earth, right? So then, next question will be like, what can we do as an individual, right? So maybe the best one I have is, before that, like, you have to understand that, you know, if we compare the vegans and someone who eats meat 3 times a day at least, yeah, the carbon footprint is 85% difference. Yeah, 85%. So one meat lovers is more, or emits more carbon footprint than 5 vegans combined. Yeah. So my recommendation will be, try to eat 1 vegan meal a day. 1 vegan meal a day. So you know, in the report it says like 85. You know, if you're full vegan, it's 85%. But if you're 2/3 vegans, you're actually reducing your carbon footprint by 60%. So the idea is, it really doesn't matter if you are a full vegan or 2/3 vegans or a half vegan or a 4/5 vegans. Like, just try to eat as plant-centric as possible. Yeah. So that's my recommendation: 1 vegan meal a day.